Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing Married at First Sight Season 17, Episode 17. Here at this channel we do a different type of therapeutic review. We get a little curious. We wonder. We sit and we really try to come from a space of wondering what is happening internally for these couples. Instead of coming from a place of judgment or criticism or assumptions, we really get curious and say, what could be potentially happening? What could be potentially happening with these couples? To learn a little bit about relationships and potentially a little bit about ourselves. If you are returning, welcome back. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. First, we have Becca and Austin. And boy, have they had a rough go of it. I mean, first, Austin's allergies. This episode, Becca's stomach bug flu situation that she had. And it caused more separation. And then also to Austin's fangirling of being in this football player's home and lack of communication, what have you, right? All of this is happening. Physical intimacy is having so many roadblocks in their relationship. And I also feel like there's some unspoken roadblocks that aren't being named for sure. I know that the pressure that's being built up and the fact that they keep having conversations about it. Austin has talked about that multiple times during the after party. This is continually a thing. And also too, Becca putting bids to connect with him and being rejected by Austin. That's also a thing. And so all of this is playing in it, and also to any past experiences, because they haven't named those. They haven't named them. And at the same time, the past experiences are definitely impacting how they're showing up with each other. Most definitely. And so Austin's being a good sport. He's coming in to nurture and nurse and take care of Becca as she is not feeling well and not able to participate in the festivities. They have this little jar game where they read fun facts about each other and guess who it was. We learned that Austin open mouth kissed a donkey. So, we're just learning a lot of information about these couples, and specifically Austin. Becca stated that, she was so sick that she just decided to have Austin sleep in a separate room because she was very nauseous and she didn't want him to see that, as they had just been married for a month. Let's not do this. And I also feel too that the part of her was concerned, he already doesn't want to connect with me, or there's a part of her that fears that, maybe even believes that. And so, now that you see me sick, you really probably don't want to get close to me, right? So let's not put any other barriers in between us and this building this physical connection. So they are making the best of it. Becca stated that seeing Emily really pull through and push through her incident made her say, okay, well, at least I can sit outside and while everybody's doing yoga, and I can be a part of it, but not be a part of it. So she debriefed with Austin after doing the yoga, just talking about how she was feeling about this weekend and how Austin was really bummed about how they still weren't able to focus on what they want to do, but maybe the rest of the day they can have some good times, build some flirting. Becca really named just flirting, basic relationship, basic needs and relationships this. There's definitely layers of annoyance that have been really building, which really leads to where Becca is at the end of the episode, where she is crying. She's crying as these layers of annoyance build under this hurt that's there, because that's what annoyance, anger, irritation, it's a barrier. It's a protective way. It's a part of us that gets protective of the part of us that's being hurt, rejected, scared, frightened. And I feel like that's all what Becca's dealing with, does he like me or not? Tell me what's happening. I don't know. This is how I know. A part of her saying this is how I know. And for whatever reason, whether it's Austin, he said to the other spouses or the other couples that he doesn't do well in the flirting department. That's not a forte. Romance is not a forte of his. And okay, I hear you. And also, too, there needs to be some forward movement there. I'm wondering what he's going to do about that. I'm wondering what's happening because also with him, the pressure is also getting to him. The pressure to make something happen, to do something. Are we going to do something? He did say that he feels like he hasn't really been open and communicating with Becca in a way that is really honest, meaning that the expectations aren't clear. She's expecting for something to happen when he's not even there yet to say something's going to happen, and that's what's leading to all of this frustration with Becca, which led to her tearful moment and really just feeling rejected and frustrated. And Austin is then in a place where he's frustrated because he's like, well, I was hoping maybe we could maybe see what could happen today, but now you're in tears and I feel the pressure, and so now I want to shut down. I sense too that Austin doesn't really do well in conflict because in this moment there's still space, like there's space for his frustration with the pressure, and there's space for her frustration with not being met with what she feels is really wanting to feel wanted by Austin. Like there's space for both of their frustrations, and I think sometimes in conflict we feel like there only is space for one person's point of view to be right. And that is not the case. Like there's space for both of them. Like, yeah, this is frustrating. Ooh, what if that moment, right? Becca's like, oh, this is so frustrating. I don't feel wanted. I don't feel like we're making any progress in it. And I know also too for you, you're frustrated because of all this pressure that's put on it, and the situation is just awful, right? Because that removes the blame. That removes the blame, and it just talks about the global situation, which is here, like the situation between two of them that they're in, and how it's impacting both of them. It makes space for both of their perspectives to be real and true, as it is for them, and then also too it kind of takes off the takes away the shame and the blame and the pressure, and they both feel heard, which could even potentially help them to even build closer intimacy and connect in a way that helps them build towards that physical connection. Instead, where they are is where they are. It's no harm, no foul. She's like really in her hurt feelings, and he's really rooted in his frustration of this pressure. Like both of them, these parts of them are very up, they're forward, they're in this moment protecting them, and so it makes it hard for space to be made for both of their perspectives, so that potentially some intimacy and some connection could happen. Because conflict, there's this is a beautiful way. It's conflict can be a beautiful way to actually connect with each other when you make space for each other. When we are in the blame shame game, it's hard. It's hard because we're both parties are going to fight to be right, because being right means that I'm good and being wrong means I'm bad. Then you're gonna be fighting until the end of the marriage for that. But if we make space for both to have value, both perspectives to have value, then aha, now we are on somewhere. Now we're moving in a direction where we can actually get some understanding and hear each other. And that's where true intimacy and connection can really happen in a relationship through conflict. So we shall see. Next, we have Michael and Chloe. And Chloe is still adjusting. She's still adjusting to Michael's fashion choices. And in this episode, she mentions his skirt quite a bit. She's using the part of her that uses humor to navigate this, to deal with this, to be like, okay, all right, this is what you like. And did you see, like, oh, you're wearing a skirt. Oh, okay. Like, like this humor is up. And I wonder what it would be like for Chloe to be honest. And at the same time, too, I also see how she's also giving herself time to really sit and see how she feels about this before she says something. Or hopefully, I'm hoping she says something. Because it's clear throughout this episode that the skirt issue is an issue for her. Which I get. We have these messaging around femininity. We have these messaging around masculinity. We have this messaging about what that means and safety and protection and attraction. It seems like these are really connected for Chloe as they are for a lot of people. And so she's like, these fashion choices aren't really, they're not really pulling me closer to Michael, which she names later on in the episode. But they arrive. They arrive at the retreat, and Lauren says to Michael, like, hey, I got that same skirt, which is funny to me. But Chloe stated that to the girls, like, you cannot prepare. You cannot prepare for this. There's no way you can prepare for how being a Married at First Sight is going, like, it's going to hit you. And absolutely, how could you? I mean, just marriage from jump is hard to prepare yourself for, let alone Married at First Sight, marrying a complete stranger. You don't know what's going to be activated inside of you. And Michael talked about the emotional toll that it takes to dive into these deep topics with Chloe, through a very short period of time, and how he didn't really know like it was going to be so much. And he's grateful that they're aligned. He's grateful that they see eye to eye on a lot of the topics that they're discussing, and wonders what would be like. What would it be like if we weren't? And boy, is he about to find out, as they also try to get like an update, right? An update on all the couples, and the couples let them know where they are. And so they're taking it back like, oh wow, okay. Not a lot of people are doing well, really. And they also learn about Emily's accident as well. And so they are playing this game that I mentioned before, where they have a jar of fun facts about each other, and they're pulling it out and guessing who it is. And so during the game, Michael confessed that he used to have afro, which of course doesn't surprise us, and he used to blow dry it upside down. Chloe confesses she poured a drink on Benny from Good Charlotte at an NSYNC party, and Michael is completely enthralled. He's like, who is this woman? I want to know so much about her. Like, NSYNC party, Good Charlotte. Like, what's happening? Who is she? And she said she was just living her 20s, enjoying her life, and just having a good time. We see that this Chloe that has leaned into fun and tried to kind of have her perfectionist part kind of have some rest, so she can just like embrace life as it comes. It seems like this in her 20s, she was doing some of that too, like just having fun, living life, jumping in wholeheartedly. And so Chloe goes to talk with the girls. Michael's talking with the guys, and Chloe is talking about how wonderful Michael is. Michael's telling the guys how he's really embracing Chloe's fashion and wearing her earrings, and Brennan is like confused and asking like, is that a joke, or like you really wearing them? And Michael said both. It's not like a pressure like, give me those earrings, but hey, I would love to wear them, and also making it fun. So he uses the humorous part of him to navigate the fact that he does like to express his femininity in this way. And he's also very secure in it too, though. I got a little sense that Brennan was like, what? Like, he was caught taken back by that. And I also got the sense that Michael was like, yeah, and I'm good. Like, my masculinity is not being called to question because I like to wear Chloe's earrings. Like, the energy in which he was talking, that's kind of what I was sensing. Like, he was communicating but not communicating at the same time. And Austin and Michael were like just joking about it ever so. And Chloe mentions to the girls that she's enjoying Michael's fashion sense. However, the flair is impacting and making the physical attraction a bit of a challenge for her. She's like, this is making it's kind of putting a damper on that. And she asks, like, how do I tell him something? Because Lauren mentions, like, oh, you just don't know oftentimes when someone's behavior and what it does and how it triggers you, and how do you talk about that? And yeah, she's like wondering, like, yeah, how do I tell him that it triggers me? Well, almost even when she said that, I was like, oh, this is a good topic for a video, like how to manage or what do you do when someone does something that triggers you? And it completely depends on, of course, on what's happening in this situation. I wonder if first is to sit with herself first. The first, sit with herself first and really attend and hear out the part of her that is concerned about these clothes. What is it concerned about? We know for sure because it kind of named a little bit what's going to happen. How are people going to respond to us when we are out in public? That's number one. Number two, what else is there? There seems to be maybe a part of her that fears that he isn't going to be a protector. He isn't going to be, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I get that sense from how she responded at the obstacle course. Was at the obstacle course when she saw Michael climbing through and like going higher than any other husbands, and that she was like, "Look at my husband! Look, you were just conquering that obstacle course like it was made for you." So he does boxing. He is very physically fit, and so then all of a sudden, like the physical attraction came back in for Chloe, but there's something there, and also too once she listens to herself to really see what's there, get curious about that, see if there's space that she can make. If not, too, and say, hey, also, I want letting Michael know where she is. I feel like that's a piece where Chloe does have a bit of a challenge, which is communicating for the parts of her that are scared, for the parts of her that are have concerns, for the parts of her that maybe not like something that Michael's doing, whether it's talking too much after a trip and she needs to take a break, or wearing her earrings or pearl necklace. Like, if she's not okay with it, hey, just because he has all the other qualities that you want in a husband doesn't mean that you have to be okay with the fact that he wants to wear your pearl necklace. You can say, Michael, you're a wonderful man, and I also am not okay with this. Like, I want to be okay with it because I know that this is something that you enjoy, and at the same time, I'm just not. And naming that, because oftentimes what happens is, which I fear is going to happen next episode from some of the previews, is that she's going to shut down and be like, I just can't do it, right? Because she's not honoring the parts of her that have the concerns and speaking for them and naming them. Then she's just like, I just can't do it. It's okay. Leaning into conflict, leaning into speaking for what you want and what you need is a challenge. It's a challenge if you haven't had a lot of experience doing that. If your past experiences are that people don't hear you, that people don't care, they dismiss your feelings, they dismiss your needs, or that they're just not considered. Like, people they just don't consider your feelings, and so then you feel like I can't, like I don't make space for them, or people have made you feel small, feel like you don't have a voice. There are all these different factors that are contributing to it. So it's not just right on Chloe. And at the same time, I sense, because this is a place where it's a growing edge for Chloe, that what's going to happen is she's going to completely shut down. This part of her is going to shut down because it's like, we have problems with all of this, and we're not going to put up with it. Okay. Is there a way to actually say the things? Is there a way to say the things? And we'll see if Chloe's able to lean in and do that. Because I do feel, I don't know Michael much. I also feel like he has space, and I'm sure he has heard she's not okay with him wearing her jewelry. And so, if that's something she's not okay with, then say it. Or, hey, when we have a trip or we have a long trip, I need a moment to myself, at least like maybe a half a day or so. Is that something that we can work through, where I can kind of go off and kind of hike, kind of recenter myself, and then also for her to get curious about what is it when they are together that to and to also get curious about what is it that's happening internally for her when she is connecting with Michael in long periods of times that is so draining for her. That's something to get curious about. Is she seeing that she's always having to be accommodating and always having to put on a happy face and a smile and sacrifice herself, and that's why it's so draining, and she can't say the things that she wants to say? Is that why it's so draining? Or what would it be like for her to just be? and not have to feel pressure to do anything when she's interacting with Michael socially and just connecting with Michael just by just being, would she feel so drained? So there's so many different factors into all of this. And we all do. We all have extroverted parts and introverted parts. Parts of us that love being connected to people. Parts of us that are like, oh, people are so much. And we do need our moments of silence to just think and process. So there's nothing wrong with any of that. And at the same time, this can also be something to get curious about as well. Next, we have Emily and Brennan. And so Brennan is sharing with the cast about the crash that occurred. And thank goodness Emily did not have a concussion. He did name, though, that she had a huge gash on her head and it's going to need plastic surgery. He said that, that he's in this with her. They're holding hands, comforting each other. Emily, she has this part of her that's we've seen it the whole season, that is a trooper that pushes through. And I feel like this maybe come from this athletic part of her. You're often taught to ignore your body and just push through, fight, win, that type of mentality. And that can be really useful in situations like this. And at the same time, the shadow side of that is that you are sometimes dismissing things that are important. They're important. So I wonder, even her pushing through this and saying, hey, let's go back. We're going to go back to the house. We're going to still be a part of the retreat. And she's being filmed in a way that she is not looking her best. Not saying that she's unattractive. It's just she's injured in a very visible way. And she's still in it. Now, Brennan has this part of him that really praises Emily when she endures things in a way that impresses him. And I wonder so much about it. I wonder so much about this part of him that is so impressed by how oh, Emily, she was able to do that water ski situation where they were jumping in and out of the water, and she had this injured wrist. And she was such a trooper, right? When she got her hair cut out, she's such a trooper when she almost died during an ATV crash. And I wonder so much. I really do about what about that impresses Brennan and what meaning he makes about that. He doesn't explicitly say, but it just is really interesting to me. They both talk about how this crash has really helped them to focus on the things that matter in their relationship, and they're leaning in more. That Brennan he's for better or for worse, through sickness and health, he's in this. And I wonder about that too. I wonder about what about this crash made it so. I understand, right? I understand logically, oh yeah, Alicia, of course. I mean, this was a matter of life and death. She almost died. And this made him feel like he really cares. It made him realize how much he cares about her. Yes. Okay. I still want to know from his view, right? I still want to hear from his view, through his words, through his perspective, through his lens. What was it about this situation that made him now want to be more intentional about his relationship with Emily? Is this a response? Is this a response that's coming from a place from his history, from his past? Is this a response of coming from he's leaning into the feeling of it, and then Emily does something that annoys him again, and then it goes back to, let's just be friends, let's take the pressure off? What is it about this? Even Lauren mentioned at the after party, or I don't know if it's the after party or in the episode, it's a little blurry for me, but she mentioned that a part of her is a little pessimistic because she wants to believe, she really wants to believe that this relationship is now moving in the right direction. And at the same time, she's wondering if Brennan is going to, move backwards and change his mind again. Brennan did say, even too, after the wedding and after the honeymoon, oh, was it just adrenaline? Was it just adrenaline that made me say, oh, I really like Emily, and I'm really feeling her? And I'm wondering the same right now. Is this just adrenaline? Is this why now all of a sudden we're leaning in. It's beautiful to see how he was there with her and holding hands with her. And Emily said that she felt like Brennan was such a great presence for her. I wonder too if this is her like overshooting because he's been so, when someone is so below your standard that when they do something that's at standard, it's like astronomical. I wonder if that's what's happening for Emily. I don't know for sure. Part of me definitely is sensing that, but I don't want to definitely say for sure as to not make assumptions. It really, I get the sense that her being so impressed by how this traumatic situation, which is something Brennan named multiple times, like we've been through traumatic situation during yoga with the guys, like this has completely changed. And the way I know change to show up is to be meaningful and sustainable is that it's gradual. And any sudden change that occurs, that always makes me wonder when is the switch going to go from hot to cold again. And I wonder about that with these two. It's great to see that he is and can be a support for her in a situation where she was so fearful for her life. She didn't know anything that was going on, and he was there for her. He was present with her because he, like, the opposite could be true as well. So I'm grateful that Emily had that in Brennan and during this moment, and also to, I just wonder about this response and how this complete change and shift has happened in their relationship because of this traumatic incident. I wonder. I really wonder what's going to really play out in their relationship long term. Last but certainly not least, we have Lauren and Orion. Interesting, interesting. So, Orion gives Michael and Chloe an update about their relationship as Michael's like, hey, how's everyone doing? And so, in front of everyone, Orion says, our relationship was short. It was 10 days, and, it's been pretty awkward and tense. And I'm just hoping to build a bridge, with you, Lauren. Sorry I didn't say anything before, but this is what I'm doing. Do you want to have any response to what I'm saying? And Lauren says, I will continue to sip this wine. And so that is what happens. As she said an interesting phrase on the after party, which if you watched it, you hear it. But she's basically saying to him that I'm not going to participate in this. There's a part of her that feels like when Orion is in front of people, he likes to put on a front or a happy face and isn't being genuine and true to her because there's no time that he's ever tried to engage with her off camera or phone, text, any of that. And so this isn't something she's going to believe, and it makes sense because in the past Orion has not been honest. We know his relationship with honesty is touch and go. Later that day, Orion comes to talk to Lauren to hopefully remove the tension. And I have a wondering about this as well. I know that Orion does not like conflict. He doesn't like tension. He doesn't like awkwardness. It's distressing to him. It really is. And so I wonder if he's having this conversation to take care of himself in a way to like calm his nervous system, or and it could be an and or, right? That he is coming to really wanting to have a minute relationship with Lauren. It's right. It could be both. And also I'm wondering if it's either or. He said that the accident that Emily was in really inspired him and helped him to think about the things that really matter, which is his relationships, and he wants to build a bridge because he misses the conversations he has with Lauren. And so he says he wants to be able to have conversations with others about the relationship, and he wants them to be able to get through it, wants them to be able to get through these uncomfortable conversations as a couple or as a divorced couple with others and be able to really get through this. And Lauren says to him, which I applaud her, is I don't see how that's fair. that you want me to be a partner with you in divorce when you weren't a partner with me in our marriage. So she speaks for the part of her that's been hurt and that is angry and frustrated with Orion. She's coming from a place that is calm. She's using calm, and at the same time, she's still naming what she's feeling and thinking. And also two names that she questions. Like she questions if it's real because again it's in front of everybody else, but when they have time to connect by themselves, Orion's ghost. And so he explained a little bit. One, apologizing that he wasn't a team or partner in their marriage, and that he did leave her in the lurch by herself. He also explained that he feels awkward and hasn't been in communication with her. He names that because he's afraid. He's afraid that he's going to say something and it's going to go wrong. It's going to go south, which is so ironic because that's what happened reversed in their relationship. Lauren said something and it went south. And so that's something about him. Oftentimes, what we fear is going to happen in a relationship, yes, it can come from our learned experience or our lived experience with the person, but it also can come from how we respond to others in relationship. And so I find it really interesting that he's like, oh, I fear if I say something that things are going to go south, because he has huge responses to when people say something that's not okay for him. He wonders and projects that onto this part of him, right? Projects that onto Lauren. Like, will they respond how I respond? Because Lauren, in most instances that I've seen while they were married, a part of her used humor. She did have some parts of her that used some heightened tone, some anger, some parts of her they used to like the passive aggressive language. So she does have these parts of her that do this to help to protect her in moments where she's feeling threatened or feeling hurt. And so he's concerned. He's concerned, and that's made him be really hesitant to communicate with her. He did say, though, that he is sorry. He's very sorry. He's going to make a change. He's going to make a change, and he wants to know what needs to happen now. Like, what needs to happen? And Lauren's like, I don't know, and I'm not going to make something happen. She said, I'm sitting with what you're saying. A part of me is saying that this is some BS. A part of me is also saying that she's like, I still care, and I want clarity about our relationship, and I need to sit with that. I just need to sit with that. And I feel like this is really great modeling for Orion to know how to communicate in the moment and still like not make a decision. So Lauren's saying, hey, my head is saying this is some BS. My heart is saying I care about you and I want some clarity. And I'm confused. Like, I'm confused and I just need to sit with this. I need to sit with this and really and listen to both parts, not toss out her head or toss out her heart, because she needs both. We need both our head and our heart. And sometimes we feel like, oh, because we care, then that means we can dismiss the part of us that feels like it's BS. Or if we feel like it is BS, then we can dismiss the part of us that wants clarity or care. Like, listen to both. Listen to both parts of ourselves so we can really make a true informed decision about what we want to do moving forward. Orion, I give him a gold star. He does in this moment say he takes ownership. Like he said, that's on me. That's on me. He said, I haven't had the best approach of like pulling you aside or talking to you about that. And he wants to do more with that. And he has also been very inconsistent with her as well. And so I feel that's also kind of pulling and feeding these parts of Lauren that have this confusion and also feel really torn about re-engaging into communication and really like intimate communication and vulnerable communication with Orion. Lauren also stated again where she is. She stated where she is. She said that she's going to take some time and sit with this. She said, I understand that you felt like you reached your emotional capacity during our marriage. And I will tell you, like after our marriage, I feel like I'm at my emotional capacity with all of this. So I need a moment. And so during yoga, Lauren expresses how because they talked about compassion, and whoever this yogi is, gold stars. Can they be an expert? Gold stars all around, because one, they talked about compassion and how compassion is such a key space and key ingredient to really hearing each other and hearing ourselves. And we all have it. We all have access to compassion inside of us internally, at least. Truly, that's what internal family systems. That's what that model believes, and I truly believe it as well. And at the same time, too, what can limit our compassion is our protection, our hurt, our protection and our hurt can really limit us to have compassion for ourselves and for each other. And so when you start to show compassion towards the parts of you that are hurting, you make room, you make more space to be able to have compassion and hear other people. And that's what Lauren was speaking and naming to, like, as she's gone through this process, she's really made space for her to have compassion for herself. And so then she allows her to have it more freely with other people. And Orion stated that he is showing some compassion, right, by reaching out, opening the lines of communication, and showing up in a more genuine way. Lauren and Orion, they have some space later on after the yoga class. Orion thanks Lauren for bringing the yoga instructors in, and Lauren said, yeah, she's like, her heart space is feeling more open, and she's also open to building the lines of communication. She doesn't know how to navigate divorce. She doesn't know how to navigate what that relationship looks like, and she doesn't know where she is with Orion, like, and neither does Orion. Like, so she's like, still, even though her lines of communication are open, even though her heart space is open, you still see too how she's using discernment, and she's also to attending to her capacity and what she has capacity for. Because Orion's like, hey, so when can we connect next? And he's like, she said, let me take the lead on that. Like, let me take the lead when I feel like I'm ready and I'm open to do that with you, because I need to feel like this is mine to navigate. Sometimes it can feel like if we are opening up our heart or being compassionate to somebody, that we completely disregard how they treated us or how they hurt us, and we just act like nothing, all's forgotten. No, 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 no. There's a way that you can hold compassion and still also hold your experience with that person. Not in a way that makes them pay for it, but just in a way that you use discernment, and you also take care of yourself as you're navigating this. And that's what I see Lauren doing. And it's such a beautiful model that she is really giving us, on television, of how to navigate this. I definitely hate that she was hurt in the way that she was in her marriage. And also I see how she's also giving us a gift in how to still be able to be cordial, be able to have compassion, be able to speak for the parts of you that are angry, hurt, upset, frustrated, and also honor her relationship, honor her experience of Orion, and move at a space that feels right for her. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on how you feel about this swift change that's happened between Emily and Brennan. How do you feel about Lauren opening up the lines of communication with Orion? Is he really meaning this? Is this just to calm the awkwardness from when they connect with each other? Because that's what he said. That's what he said. And I listen. I guess that's my job, to listen to people and what they say. But I wonder, like, it'd be different if he was like, I really feel awful about how my stuff, my past experiences impacted you in our relationship, and I want to build a bridge. He didn't say that. He's like, how can we not have these awkward, tense moments when we are sharing our stories with the other couples? So that's what makes me say, I wonder if this is really about him taking care of himself, or him really being wanting to really make amends with Lauren. It could be both. I'm making space for it to be both, but I do have this part of me that's like, I don't know, right? I don't know. And tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts of how you feel about Michael and Chloe. about this part of hers that's very, very considerate and polite and doesn't say and speak for the things that bother her. How do you feel about Michael and how he's showing up in this show, in this episode? He's expressing his masculinity, he's expressing his femininity, he's doing it in a way that feels right for him. And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Becca and Austin? Tell me what your thoughts are, and if you're still with us, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered. Peace.